Are you saying that that's that's appropriate behavior?
No,
Are you saying that the president shouldn't take action?
I'm just trying to figure out.
The Democrats.
On Wednesday, I had a pretty active exchange with Carolyn Leavitt, the White House press secretary, and it stemmed from some things that the president said during his speech at Fort Bragg on Tuesday.
What you're witnessing in California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order.
I've covered 5 presidents and various moments when there have been protests, and they've always said America is a place that cherishes free speech, free assembly.
Now, we've got to preserve the right to protest government action.
The freedom of citizens to speak their minds and assemble without fear.
I support peaceful nonviolent protest. Your voices should be heard.
Usually then they quickly go on to say, we're only trying to make sure that the protests remain peaceful, that nobody gets hurt.
There's the right to protest, but not the right to cause chaos.
President Trump handled this quite differently. He basically lumped all the protesters together with what he called
troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists.
So I went into the briefing on Wednesday hoping that I could get Carolyn Leavitt to give us basically an understanding of the president's hierarchy of values.
Why is he not out saying all peaceful protesters will be protected?
I think 2 things can be important at the same time. And the president, as I just answered, supports the right of Americans to peacefully protest. He supports the First Amendment.
You know, to her credit, she immediately said this is important to the president. But she said,
but that is not the majority of the behavior that we have seen taking place in Los Angeles. We have seen mobs of violent rioters and agitators assaulting law enforcement officers.
There's no question there's been violence in Los Angeles. The question here is why the President of the United States is not separating out peaceful, legitimate, constitutionally protected protest from violent acts for which the police and maybe even the National Guard may be needed to move in. We did hear this from him explaining January 6th. He called it a day of love. Protesters who were on his side of the issue, he was concerned about their rights. The president set the tone and set the agenda. And if the president is saying we're not sending these troops in to suppress peaceful protesters, it sends a message, an important message.